It's good to be back with all of you again this week as we enter the midpoint of our semester. 1 year ago, March 11th, the World Health Organization declared the novel coronavirus a pandemic. As we mark 1 year since this declaration, I'd like to take this moment to share a few words of gratitude with our community for the way that you have responded to this global crisis, one that has deeply impacted us here at Georgetown. This past year has been unlike any other we have collectively experienced, and it was the collective effort of so many to respond that had a measurable impact on the safety of our communities. Throughout this past year, we have remained committed to 3 fundamental priorities. We have supported the health and safety of our community. We have sustained our academic mission, and we have protected our workforce in a context of significant financial challenges. It will take time for all of us to regain the full sense of our lives prior to the pandemic. I look forward to sharing with you soon a picture of how we are approaching the return of our community this fall. We're continuing to monitor the conditions of the pandemic closely and the evolving guidance from the CDC and our local health departments. Recently, the CDC shared new guidance for people in a single household who are fully vaccinated. Someone is fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving the second dose in a 2-dose series in the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines, or a single dose, currently Johnson & Johnson. We are anticipating that the CDC will be announcing new guidelines for activities related to higher education in the near term, and we will update our guidelines for Georgetown as appropriate. We continue to see many positive trends. National cases continue to decline. Global cases are generally following a downward trend, though we have seen a small rise in recent days. In our community, we have seen a slowdown of positive cases, a good sign after a few weeks of elevated numbers of cases. Over the next 3 weeks, first our law, then medical, then main campus students will be on spring break, and it will be important for our community to manage positive cases associated with this period of possible travel. Turning now to vaccines, vaccination efforts have progressed significantly. In the United States, we're seeing more than 2.2 million doses administered each day. 64 million people in the United States, nearly 20% of our population, have received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. More than half that number has been fully vaccinated. At this current pace, it's anticipated that by May, at least half the U.S. population will be vaccinated, and nearly the whole population by the end of summer. We've seen great strides since we discussed vaccination progress in our late February presentation. In recent days, in a speech to the nation, President Biden set an even more ambitious agenda.
It's truly a national effort, just like we saw during World War II. Now, because of all the work we've done, we'll have enough vaccine supply for all adults in America by the end of May. That's months ahead of schedule.
Globally, there is more work to do. With 335 million vaccines distributed, the majority of these are in a select number of countries. 3 vaccines are now authorized in the United States, and as they are evaluated in the context of new variants, all seem to be showing promising results, maintaining strong protection, particularly against the worst experiences of the disease. Vaccines are a critical aspect of our layered public health framework. Until we reach herd immunity, when the immunization rates in the population prevent the virus from continuing to spread, it will be important for us to continue to adhere to public health measures. We began this semester with cautious optimism and continue to feel positive about the trajectory. It is in this context that we are planning for commencement and for fall and to welcome new students to Georgetown. Adherence and vigilance at this moment remain as critical as it has ever been. We are trying to bring along an entire Georgetown University community, all 26,000 people. We are a global community. We take a global perspective, animated by our mission and a sense of solidarity with those around the world. The pandemic has only further reminded us of our interconnectedness. When we see communities of color disproportionately impacted by COVID, a result of long-standing inequities and injustices, when we see attacks against Asian Americans because of bigoted statements about the emergence of the pandemic, when we see high levels of unemployment, especially among women, when we see the additional challenges our families and caregivers have faced, when we see more than 500,000 American lives lost, we know that this moment has required all of us to come together to support one another and care for one another. And we know we can do more. It's the care and compassion we have for one another that has made a difference in this pandemic. In fact, it has made a measurable difference. The University of Washington put together a study to see what motivated adherence to public health measures. They wanted to see how people would respond to the measures that were being introduced to protect public health. They found the greater the sense of connection to others, the greater the adherence to public health guidelines. The more we adhere to public health guidelines, the better we can fight the pandemic. One of the co-authors of the study, Andrew Meltzoff, a psychologist and expert on child development at the University of Washington, said this: "There is a variability in how people respond to the social aspects of the pandemic. Our research reveals that a crucial aspect of one's worldview, how much people feel connected to others that they have never met, predicts people's cooperation with public health measures and the altruism they feel toward others during the pandemic." Among all participants, those who identified most strongly with all humanity were more willing to engage in public health practices than even those who identified with more local or national communities. Each of us is going to respond to this moment shaped by our life experiences, our perspectives, our knowledge, and our communities. What we at Georgetown can provide is a sense of community, a sense of solidarity with those whom we have never met, a sense of belonging to something bigger than ourselves. This is central to our mission and our identity as a Catholic and Jesuit institution. As Pope Francis reminds us in the encyclical letter Fratelli Tutti on fraternity and social friendship that he wrote and shared in October 2020, and I quote, "A worldwide tragedy like the COVID-19 pandemic momentarily revived the sense that we are a global community, all in the same boat, where one person's problems are the problems of all. Once more, we realized that no one is saved alone. We can only be saved together." He goes on to write, "At a time when everything seems to disintegrate and lose consistency, it is good for us to appeal to the solidity born of the consciousness that we are responsible for the fragility of others as we strive to build a common future. Solidarity finds concrete expression in service, which can take a variety of forms in an effort to care for others. And service, in great part, means caring for vulnerability, for the vulnerable members of our families, our society, our people. Close quote. For our community, this service has taken many forms, from the care we give one another struggling with a mental health issue to the efforts of our medical students to collect and distribute personal protective equipment to first responders. This past weekend, our university helped to support the vaccination efforts of the city of Washington by partnering with them to host a high-capacity vaccination site in Ward 8 here in Washington, D.C. Georgetown volunteers, staff, faculty, students, as well as MedStar Health clinicians aided in the vaccination of 1,500 people this past weekend. Already, more than 150 of our students have been working with our clinical partner, MedStar Health, to support their vaccine rollout. While Georgetown does not have authority over the vaccine appointments, and we don't control access to the vaccine, all of us will be safer when more of us are vaccinated. This is a moment that requires all of us to come together to advance the health of our communities, and we are honored to do our part. Take care of yourselves and take care of everyone around you. I'll see you again next week.